Bienvenidos a mi canal, Learning Spanish with Señora Ramirez. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel, Learning Spanish with Señora Ramirez. Today in this video we're going to talk about irregular verbs in the preterite tense. There are several verbs that are irregular in the preterite tense. Therefore, I came up with two mnemonic devices to help you. The first one is stepped. Each letter in this word represents one of the verbs that you need to know that are regular in the preterite. So the S is for saber. Saber means to know. T is for tener, to have. E is for estar, to be. P is for poder, to be able to. The next P is for poner, to put. E is for estar again, because that was the only vowel. So I just used it twice. And dar. D is for dar, which means to give. The second mnemonic device is don't quit till vanquish all verbs. D is for decir, Q is for querer, T is for traer, V is for venir, A is for andar, and V is for ver. Irregular verbs in the preterite can be separated in three categories. So the first category is verbs that have U in the stem. And I'll show you what that means in just a minute. But here is another mnemonic device, the word taps, to help you remember which verbs have U in the stem in the preterite. And they are tener, andar, poner, poder, estar, and saber. Right here shows you their stems. So the stem for tener is tu, andar is anduv, poder is put, poner is pus, estar is estu, and saber is soup. These are the endings that you would have to add back to those stems depending on the subject of your sentence. So for yo, it's a, tú es iste, él, ella, usted is o, nosotros es imos, vosotros istes, ellos hieron, ellas hieron, ustedes hieron. You'll notice that third person singular, él, ella, usted, they all have the same conjugation. Third person plural, ellos, ellas, ustedes, they all have the same conjugation, hieron. So, él means he, ella means she, usted means you, formal. This is the singular third person. Then ellos, ellas, ustedes is third person plural. It has the same ending. Here's an example. Estar is one of your irregular verbs that has U in the stem. So here's your stem, estuve, and you add the endings that we just saw, e, iste, o, imos, istes, hieron, to the stem. So if you want to say, I was, yo estuve, you were, tú estuviste, he was, él estuvo, she was, ella estuvo, you were, usted estuvo, and so on. You guys can see. And also take note that there are no accent marks on irregular verbs in the preterite. Examples of sentences using irregular preterite verbs with U in the stem. Estuve sola allí 4 días. I was there alone for 4 days. Me puse un vestido muy bonito en una tienda. I put on a beautiful dress in a store. Pero no pude comprarlo. I couldn't buy it. El vestido que me trajiste de tu viaje estuvo muy corto. The dress that you brought me from your trip was very short. Now, when you have the subject, you have to figure out which subject pronoun it can be replaced with. El vestido is one, it's a singular subject, and it is a masculine subject, and we know this because of the definite article el. So we go back and see the masculine singular subject pronoun is el, and so there we have the preterite conjugation, estuvo. El vestido que me trajiste de tu viaje estuvo. So the dress was very short. Which dress? The one that you brought me back from your trip. And the last one, esta mañana anduvieron por la playa. This morning they walked on the beach. Or it can also mean this morning y'all walked on the beach. We would not know without more context. Now we have the next set of verbs, and they have a J in the stem. And these are the endings. You'll notice they're the same, except for when you get to the third person plural. There is no I. It's not ieron, but it's rather eron. That is the only difference. So here are some examples of decir and traer in the preterite. ¿Qué te dijeron? What did they tell you? You notice right here there's no I. No me dijeron nada. They didn't tell me anything. ¿Tu novio te trajo algo de su viaje? Did your boyfriend bring you something from his trip?
Sí, me trajo una camiseta bien bonita.
Yes, he brought me a very pretty t-shirt. Yo les dije a ustedes que yo no iba a la fiesta. I told y'all that I was not going to the party. Now we have the verbs with I in the stem. Dar, hacer, querer, and venir. Dar means to give, hacer means to make or do. Querer does mean to want or to love in the present tense, but in the preterite it means to attempt or try, and then if you put the word no in front of it, it means to refuse. And the last one is venir, which means to come. And here we have the conjugations for dar and hacer, and you'll notice that the only difference, because the endings are the same, the only difference here is in the yo form, you don't have a, the letter E. Instead, you have I. Yo di is how you say I gave. For hacer, the difference is in the third person singular. The C changed to Z for pronunciation problems. So if we left it at C, it would say el hijo, and that's incorrect. And so they switch it to Z so we can keep that same pronunciation. El hizo, ella hizo. And here are some examples. Carlos me dio el dinero que me debía. Carlos gave me the money that he owed me. Yo no le di las llaves a mi mamá. I didn't give mom the keys. ¿Qué hiciste? What did you do? Usted hizo la torta? Es muy rica. Did you make the cake? It's very yummy. Ellos le dieron el regalo a mi hermanita. They gave the present to my little sister. And here you'll see querer and venir conjugated. Notice that the E changes to an I in the stem. The E changes to an I in the stem. Examples of sentences with querer and venir. Yo no quise ir a la escuela hoy. I refused to go to school today. Él no quiso ir a la escuela hoy. He refused to go to school today. Quisieron guardar el secreto. They attempted to keep the secret. This insinuates that they were not able to keep the secret. They tried, but that's not what happened. Mateo vino a mi casa. Mateo came to my house. ¿Viniste a verme bailar en el concurso? Did you come to see me dance in the contest? Remember, in the preterite, querer means to try or attempt, and no querer means to refuse. Ser and ir, ser means to be, and ir means to go. In the preterite, they have the exact same conjugation. Remember that with irregular verbs, you have to memorize the conjugations. There are no steps like with the regular verbs. So in the case of ser and ir, you have to depend on your context to be able to tell what is being said in the sentence. And here are some examples. Fui gerente de una tienda por 2 años. I was a manager of a store for 2 years. Here, in this sentence, fui meant I was. But in this sentence, fui al centro comercial ayer. I went to the mall yesterday. Fui becomes I went. So you just have to depend on your context. Some other examples. Fue un viaje maravilloso. It was a wonderful trip. Nosotros fuimos a Florida. We went to Florida. And the last word that we're going to look at today is I. I means there is or there are. And the preterite of I is hubo. Ayer hubo una gran fiesta en la calle 8. Yesterday there was a big party on 8th Street. Hubo un accidente en la autopista. There was an accident on the interstate. Okay guys, I hope that this video has helped you. I hope that it made irregular verbs and the preterite much easier to understand. If you're not yet subscribed to my channel, please consider hitting the subscribe button and click on that like button, and I will see you in the next video. Hasta luego!